Okay, you guys have probably taken a few, maybe a bunch of personality types, and today we're going to talk about why those ones are terrible and why they don't help you with anything. So one thing that's super important to me as a business owner, as a husband, all the things that I do is understanding people is one thing that I value maybe above all other things in my life. And that's really where I feel I've made my money and why my relationships are good relationships with people is because I fully really do understand people. And so I want to help. We're going to go through personality types today and how that works, why it works, and why the ones you've taken in the past haven't worked out for you. So number one, what we're going to do is I want you to mentally in your head think through this with me. So number one, are you more of a dominant personality type? You don't mind confrontation. Maybe you don't love confrontation, but you're a more dominant type personality type, or are you more of a flows with type of personality type? Are you the type that you maybe don't care so much if someone changes the channel on you, or you're just flows with type of person? You don't like confrontation, you don't want to get into a fight, and nobody really does want to get into a fight, but you really hate getting into fights. You know, that would put you maybe more as a flows with type of personality type. Now what we're also going to do is we're going to talk about maybe being formal or informal. Formal types of personality types, formal personality types really like order. They like things to be a certain way. They plan things out. They're a little more consistent. They're the type of people who can show up at 8:30, 9 a.m. every morning, every single morning, and like do that every day, no big deal. Or are you more of an informal personality type? You like spontaneity, you like possibilities, you like the fact that anything can happen. That would be more of an informal type of personality, more of an informal personality type. So now that we've got dominant and flows with, and let's say, I'm going to say for me, just so I'm doing it backwards, formal and informal. Now we're going to try to kind of put you in one of these four quadrants. So if you're dominant and you're formal, that's going to make you, for this exercise, we're going to call it a controller. Now, don't get hung up in the name. I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to be a controller. It's just the name that we've made for this, but this is going to make you a controller. If you're a little more dominant, but you're a little more informal of a personality type, this is going to make you more of a promoter type of a person, okay? If you're informal and you're flows with, so you're down in this quadrant here now, that's going to make you a supporter for this exercise. And if you're a little more flows with but formal, so you're flows with but you like things to be a certain way, then that's going to make you an analyst for this exercise. Now what I want to talk about is these people, how it works, and then what are some of their likes, some of their dislikes, and what are some of the things that they value, some of those things, so you can understand these people at a pretty high level. So let's start with the controllers. So the controllers, what do they like? They like things to be the same. They like things to be in order. They like certain, decisions, and the way decisions are made make them feel, and it really comes down to, what do they value above all other things? They value safety. If you're the type of person that most of your decisions are predicated upon safety, then that's going to make you a controller for this exercise, okay? And that's what you value, is you like orders, things like that. Now, what does the analyst like? The analyst, at the same thing, likes the set schedule, likes things to be just so. They're just maybe not as forceful is probably not the right word, but they're not as in your face about how they want things to be. They're a little more quiet about the way that they want to do. What do they value above all other things? They like charts, facts, figures, things that can be proven. They love making the right decision. They love security. Most of their decisions are predicated upon security. So that's going to give you an idea of what the analyst, what they like, what they like and what they value. Supporters, what do they like? What do they value? They love people. They like people. They like people to be happy. They don't want people to be upset with them. They love people. And so what do they value? They really value not offending people. They really value nobody being offended around them. And they value people. Now, what does a promoter value? Promoters value fun, spontaneity. They really value their ideas. They value them at a really high level. And so do the supporters value their ideas as well. But the promoters are a little more forceful with their ideas, a little more out there. They're not as afraid to speak their mind about their ideas, but they love their ideas. And what do they value? They really value making sure that everyone's having a good time around them. They're the type of people who, that's why they're so loud. They're always going, hey, you okay? I'm okay. You okay? That's kind of how their speech really is, hey, I'm okay. Are you okay? Hey, are you okay? Hey, are you okay? Hey, we're all okay. That's kind of what, like, if you deep down think about what they're really doing, is they're just making sure that everybody's okay all the time. That's kind of a promoter type. Now, what are the strengths? Because each of these 4 quadrants has their own strength, and the strengths are a little different for everybody. The strength of a promoter is really the ability to make promises. Promises is, I think that when you think of that as a strength, you think that's not really that good of a strength. No, inside of a business, inside of a company, inside of the way people work with people, the ability to make promises is a really big deal, and that's their skill. Now, what's the skill of the controller? The skill of the controller is to be able to set expectations and follow through with those expectations 100% of the time. That's a huge value. I know a lot of times the other 3 quadrants are like, we hate that part, but that is of huge value to a company or a huge value to a family or even just a friend unit. That ability to do that and make their culture and make their rules, and it's of huge value to any kind of family or company unit. What's the value of the analyst? The value of the analyst is their ability to think through things, but even more than that, consistency. Very, very, very consistent people. They love consistency. They're going to show up at the same time. They're going to do it the same way. They give a level of a foundation to a family or a company that's really, really important. And that's their strength, is consistency and also attention to minute details. The ability to look at details and figure out how that affects everybody is the skill of an analyst. Now, what's the skill of a supporter? The skill of a supporter is to be able to hear and understand others all of the time. And it's a huge skill and a huge value to a family or a company. The ability that somebody's having a bad day, this is the first person who's like, hey, what's going on? How are you? They have an innate ability to see how people are feeling all of the time. Now, what I just said these skills are, you'll see that the more I value something, the more I'm actually coming in conflict with the other side. So one thing that's super interesting to me is I find that best friends always come in 4s. If you were in high school or you're younger or you're in high school now, you're going to notice that, yeah, you maybe have more friends than that, 7, 8, whatever. You may have more friends, but you really have usually a core group of 4. And within that, in that 4, it's because you've got a promoter, a controller, a supporter, and an analyst. And the other thing that I find very curious is most of the time, I would say in the 90th percentile, you're going to have where a promoter is best friends with an analyst and a controller is best friends with a supporter every single time. And the thing that's awesome, and it's good because of the way these are synergistic. The way these opposites are synergistic is awesome. And that's why it happens. And really the reason it happens is, let's say I'm a controller and I value getting things done in a specific way of life. And, I'm very intrigued by this supporter's free-flowing way of doing life, and also the ability in any situation to hear and understand other people is a little bit foreign for a controller, and it becomes very captivating, and they end up getting married or they end up being best friends. And the same thing for a supporter. Supporters don't speak their mind a lot. They don't speak about their ideas or their mind a lot, but they've got this controller person who always speaks their mind and sees high value in speaking their mind. And that's very intriguing. It's very, and it makes this person feel a little bit safer. Hey, they're going to do a lot of the things that I don't like to do, but a controller sees that in a supporter. They're going to do a lot of things that I don't really like or want to do. And it's the same thing for the promoters and the analysts. The promoter running around getting stuff done, whatever, doing their weird stuff, and then analyst has a very specific set way of doing life. And that's very intriguing for a promoter. And then you take an analyst who maybe is not so outgoing with people, but this promoter is very outgoing with people, and that's intriguing for them. And again, they end up being very intrigued with each other and end up dating and getting married, those kind of things. So, but you can imagine as I'm explaining what they value, as you've been married longer, or together longer, or friends longer, we start to clash more and more and more over time. So if I'm a promoter and I value ideas and spontaneity and all this awesome stuff, but then I have an analyst who goes, no, I like things like to be a certain way, we can see the clash there, right? If I value ideas and this person values making the right decision, that's going to clash a lot. Or if I'm a controller and I value things being a certain way and expectations and this, and I'm with somebody who really values people at a really, really high level, you can start to see this clash. Okay, so that's an important thing is how do they clash? How are you clashing now, and how do you work with it? Well, the biggest thing I've come to find is it really comes down to the more this person stops fearing what this person does, the happier they'll be together, and that works for all the quadrants. And I'm a promoter, so as a promoter, the less I start, because I really do fear. There's a part of me in every promoter. There's a part of that fears the analyst way of doing life, this very set, scheduled way of life. We go, that's not for me. That's not fun. That's not the way I want to do my life. And we almost develop a little bit of a fear of the way this person does life. Same thing for the analyst. They want to be secure. They want things to go a certain way. If they start to fear the way a promoter does life. Now, when they were dating and they were together having fun, it didn't really, this person's craziness really didn't affect this person's stability because they're dating. It doesn't really matter that much. But the day they get married or the day they make a decision to get together, you hear that a lot where you say, once we have the talk, once we've decided we're together, everything falls apart for me every single time. Well, the reason it's falling apart for you is because the second you guys start to get together, you start to fear what they're doing because now it affects your life. So what I've found is the more a controller can not fear this supporter's way of no rhyme or reason to the way they're doing things, the less they fear it, the happier they both will be. The supporter, the less they fear this person offending people all the time, because that's what controllers do, they offend people. The less they fear people offending people, the happier both of them will be. The analyst, the less he or she fears the promoter going out and doing crazy stuff all the time, the happier they'll become. And I know this is easier said than done because the analysts are going, no, you don't know my husband or my wife. They literally do crazy stuff every day. I can't not worry about it. I'm telling you, you have to stop worrying about it. Do you trust your spouse? Do you trust the people? Do you trust your best friends? If you trust them, let them live their lives. If you don't trust them, keep doing what you're doing right now and tell them, hey, don't do that, stop, and you both can be unhappy for the rest of your lives, okay? So that's just an introduction to what we teach in our classes and the personality types and how they work. And I really, guys, I'm being honest with this, personalities, types, and learning about people is truly what changed my life. I went from living in trailer parks to having nothing. There was a time in my life where I literally had an air mattress to my name. That was it. And that was after I moved out of my parents' house. I literally had an air mattress to my name. That's it. I had lost $40,000 in a business that I had started. And I went from that to now building a business that does $40 million a year. If I had to pinpoint the one, there's a lot of attributes that I have that help me get through that, but if I had to pinpoint one piece of learning, it would come down to what I know about personality types. And that's what our class really is. And I believe it's the best, basically personal self-awareness and also awareness of other people class on the planet. I eat, breathe, and sleep people. That's me. I love people. I love to learn about people. I love to learn how to influence people. I love to learn how to have better relationships. I love to learn how to influence my relationships in business. And if there's one thing that I got very early on was the learning of personality types. And that's what our class is. Again, this was maybe 1/100th of what we actually teach in our classes and how to really work with people. But if you're interested in better relationships, buy our class. If you're interested in how to be a better manager, a better teacher, join our class. If you literally think that you're not responsible for your relationship and having a better relationship, like you think it's just everyone else's fault, join our class. Because once you go through the class, you're going to realize you were responsible the whole time. That you actually could affect it. That you could have a better relationship. That you could make more money, but you've got to take our class. So, hey, I appreciate you guys coming and watching this video. I hope you guys got value. Again, we do a class and a course online. Go and sign up for our class online. It would be the best decision that you've made, probably maybe in your whole life. I hope to see you guys on the other side. Hey guys, thanks for watching my videos. Continue to show us your support by liking our Facebook page and subscribing to us on YouTube. Thanks again.